Neil Brown is cooking, baby. So much so that he was actually trending on Twitter last night. Is he going off the hot seat? Now he's hot on the recruiting trail, primarily in the transfer portal, and he had a massive day yesterday, which was Monday, December the 18th. My good friend and partner, Mountaineer Paul, and I are going to talk about that right after this word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up? Welcome into another edition of Kuz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me pour you out another shot of top shelf college football content here today. To help me serve up that content is the one and only Mountaineer Paul from Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Paul, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Doing great. We just got finished recording a video over on his channel that I recommend you guys go check out about a 4-star stud that West Virginia is likely going to flip from another Power 5 institution. But let's dig right into this. And by the way, for those of you, if you're just listening, not watching, you can find Paul on X/Twitter at Paul Mountaineer. So let's dig right in, man. West Virginia had a huge day on the out of the transfer portal yesterday. Really, they had a big weekend. They had a lot of guys on campus doing official visits, unofficial visits, and whatnot. Still are expecting some more guys to commit here in the next few days. But what I want to focus on are the 4 guys we landed the last, I don't know, 48 to 72 hours or so. Starting off, Paul, with a guy out of Louisville. He's a defensive back, Josh Minkins Jr. We actually got a commitment from him on Sunday. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, has 1 year of eligibility remaining. In 2022, which was his only full season at Louisville, last full season at Louisville, he had 55 tackles, 3 pass breakups, a sack, an interception, and a forced fumble. And then he missed most of the 23 season with an injury. When he entered the portal, he also had offers from Georgia Tech and Cincinnati, along with some group of 5 teams. Paul, what are your thoughts on Mr. Josh Minkins?
Well, I mean, it's not it's a Power 5 transfer, number one. Number two, look how good Louisville's defense last year was, top 25 defense. And he was a part of that group just the year before, and he played in the ACC championship game, by the way, against Florida State. He's a good player. He has to get better in coverage. I think he'll start with the negative. He allowed 9 completions on 14 attempts his way. Not a good percentage. So it's something he struggled with. Now, he's an absolute beast in run defense, obviously with his size. This is a guy, I don't know that they'll play him at safety. He could come in and play spear. He's a guy that really, really excels in the box. So look for that possible change in position for him. Because if Aubrey Burke stays, I don't know that, because Anthony Wilson played so well at the end of last year, that there'll be a starting spot for this kid. Maybe there is. And maybe, maybe he's the replacement for whoever. But not that he's not a good player, guys. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we have players at safety, obviously. Our need is at spear, in my opinion. So, obviously, with the loss of Hershey McLaurin. And I think he's a replacement for him. I think he fits there.
Yeah. And, and bottom line is we need depth in the secondary. I mean, we're losing a lot of guys, whether it be to graduation, whether it be to the portal, in the case of McLaurin, and also a few other guys. And so at the very least, it's more depth at that position. Somebody come in and compete and just be another body in that room. But it's also a body, like Paul said from his opening, it's a Power 5 body. The guy has played against Power 5 competition. And I know our fans get frustrated because this staff has brought in so many lower level guys. Well, they brought in a Power 5 guy, so we should be excited about that, right?
Yep.
The second guy we're going to talk about, Paul, and now we're going to get into the guys who committed yesterday, which was Monday. And there was 3 big commitments yesterday that the fan base is excited about. The first one is at the wide receiver spot, and that is Jaden Bray, a wide receiver from Oklahoma State. Jaden Bray, 6'2", 200 pounds, same size as Minkins, ironically. Has 2 years of eligibility remaining. Last year, 2023, he caught 30 balls for the Cowboys for 382 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 21, as a freshman, he caught 13 balls for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, 2022's missing because he was out 2022 with an injury. He has had 2 different injuries, 2 different wrist injuries he's had to deal with since he's been in Oklahoma State, and that has hindered his production. Oklahoma State fans love the kid. Most I've had contact with a few of them. They love the kid. They said his talent, his potential is through the roof. Unfortunately, injuries have hindered him a little bit, and he does struggle. In what I saw on film, he does struggle at times to get separation from DBs. So, Paul, what are your thoughts on Jaden Bray?
He's a possession receiver. Not bad. It's not a bad thing. He's a guy that obviously he's a bigger body at 6'2", so he can go up and get 50-50 balls.
Mm-hmm.
The tape that I watched, he really wins a lot of 50-50 balls.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Bryce Ford Wheaton, I would say is a good comparison. And I think, you look at Bryce Ford Wheaton's last year here, he caught 67 balls, right? And so if you're projecting forward for this kid, he went from 15 to 30, right? So what can he do in another year? And he's got another year after this. Garrett Green is a shot quarterback. This guy's going to be getting a lot of shots down the field to win 50-50 balls. So he fits a need. Obviously, Devin Carter, who unfortunately disappointed a little bit, which I hate to say because he was such a good kid. I think this guy can come in and fill that role and be the experienced guy in the room, and really kind of maybe Rodney and Traylon can kind of go up under his tutelage a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think they're done, though. I think they'll add another receiver if they can.
Yeah. And there are definitely some other names out there, whether it be from a freshman or from the portal. But I like what you said about Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's also the same player I had him compared to here in my notes. Now, everything I'm hearing from the folks at Oklahoma State, he's also a really good person. He's good in the locker room. He's good off the field. Comes from a good family. So I think he'll fit in well with the culture. I think I don't think there's going to be any dangers of him being a locker room problem or anything like that. He seems to be really, really well liked and respected by most of the folks at Oklahoma State. Could he be the number 1 receiver on this team? It's possible. But personally, I think he'll be he's probably a number 2 guy, more along the lines of maybe a Hudson Clement, or, he'll probably be competing with Hudson Clement actually for the starting spot, in my opinion, across from Traylon Ray, who I think has probably solidified himself as a starter at this point. The third guy I want to talk about, another one that committed yesterday, and this is the one that might have the most upside, and it's for 2 different reasons, and that is TJ Crandall, a defensive back from Colorado State. Do not let Colorado State fool you, folks. First thing I'm going to do is read you his offer list out of the portal. Michigan State, UCLA, who by the way, we had to beat out for his services. NC State, Louisville, Cal, Purdue, Oregon State, Wisconsin, and Arkansas. And that's just a few. So some really big – Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. You think he knows good DBs when he sees them? Look at the guys he's put in the NFL. He wanted this kid, right? Purdue, a Big Ten school. Arkansas, an SEC school. A lot of major programs. Gibby at NC State wanted him. He knows good DBs. As West Virginia fans, we know that. This young man is talented. And if you read all the media, West Virginia media, whether it be Rivals, 24/7, West Virginia Sports Now, any of them, they are speaking very, very highly of this young man. He's 6'1", 185, has 3 years of eligibility, which is another reason I'm excited about him. he can help solidify the future of that secondary. He played at Colorado State as a freshman and ended up starting all but 4 games. He had 19 tackles, an interception, and 2 passes defended. And like I said, he closed out the season as a starter. He's very long, very athletic. He's really good in man-to-man coverage, has great instincts, in my opinion, from the highlights I watched, and he's really good at reacting and going to get the football when it's in the air. And I think, this is my opinion, I think he can come in and be an instant starter. I think he's that good. Paul, what are your thoughts?
I don't really know what else to add. You said everything. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, he definitely an instant starter. I don't think that's a question. From the tape I watched, he's gifted, very gifted. So if you go watch the Colorado film, especially, there was a lot of balls completed that game, but not a lot of balls completed against him. And this is a really young player. This is not a guy that's even a sophomore. You know, this guy's been in college for 2 years. This freshman and the redshirt freshman season. This guy's got 3 years remaining. Mm-hmm. In today's landscape, I don't think we know what that means with this, with everything that ironically we have caused within courts. So, a kid like this, normally under the old rules, before this happened with Raekwon, would mean he was going to be here for 3 more years. Now I don't know what's going to happen, but it's fun to think about what he could look like in 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for the coaches in that sense because you just now got to think, okay, well we'll just take these second time transfers, or guys that have a lot of eligibility remaining, and now it's like, what do we do? So at the end of the day, I think this guy's going to be the number 1 cornerback on the roster. I don't care who it is. And that includes, he's got more upside than Beanie. You know what I mean? To me, Beanie played way above his talent level with just absolute grit and fight and all the things and intelligence. If you look at the projections, Beanie Bishop, he's a first-team All-American and isn't even projected to be drafted. That tells you a lot about Beanie Bishop. And this is not a negative, in my opinion. He just punched way above. This is a guy that started at Western Kentucky, was really good there, went to, obviously Minnesota, and it speaks to the development of Shadon Brown and what they're able to do. And that's how they were able to get this kid. Yep. You listen to him talk about it. Can't be understated. Something he said I really want to do a video about, I think I told Kuz earlier, he said we're going to win a Big 12 championship. Yep. That's one of the reasons he came.
Yep.
And I love the idea of that. This is what they're selling these kids. Listen, Absolutely. We got a shot to win a Big 12 title. Come on. I need your help. And we just made this guy an All-American out of nowhere. Your exact same situation.
And when you look at it, what are we missing? Some pieces on the defensive side of the ball, right?
He's what we're missing.
We're missing him, and there's a few others too. But yeah, people like him, and we're also missing, in my opinion, we've been missing an elite pass rusher, right?
Yeah. Segue.
Welcome in Ty French, edge rusher. He'll be a bandit at West Virginia from Gardner-Webb, and I know I was debating with a few people on Twitter last night. They're disappointed that he's from Gardner-Webb. I want to take you guys back. I think it was the 2014 season. I think it was 14, somewhere back in there. We had a guy named Shaq Riddick, who was a 1-year grad transfer who played the bandit position in Dana Holgerson's D. I don't know if it was called bandit at that time, but he was an edge rusher in Gibby's defense under Dana Holgerson. The guy went on to get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. He was from Gardner-Webb. There is some talent at this level, guys. And when you look at his numbers, look at the numbers this guy's put up at Gardner-Webb. First off, he's 6'3", 230, so pretty good size for a bandit. He's a grad transfer. He'll only have 1 year of eligibility left. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, first off. Why he ended up at Gardner-Webb, I don't know his history. but he was a 3-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports out of high school. Since he's been at Gardner-Webb, he's a 3-time All-American at the FCS level, 4-time first-team All-Conference player, which includes his freshman year, 2-time finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year award at the FCS level. Listen to these numbers, guys. In his career, 34.5 sacks, 61 tackles for loss, 106 quarterback pressures, 7 forced fumbles, and an interception. And of those 34.5 sacks, 22 of them came in the last 2 seasons. Guys, those are Bruce Irvin-type numbers. Now, it was at the FCS level. I understand that. But you don't see these kind of numbers in college football very often. And then when you look at his PFF grades, he had a 75.1 PFF grade. And, oh, by the way, in rush defense, 80.7 grade in rush defense. And he also had Power 5 offers from Georgia Tech. And last year, I found this in my research. Last year, he apparently was in the portal as well. He ended up going back to Gardner-Webb. But you know who had interest in this young man last year, or at least looked at him in the portal? Auburn. Auburn, an SEC team, guys, what some consider a blue blood program, had interest in this young man last year in the portal. So he's a talented young man. I don't care if he came from Gardner-Webb. And when you look at him, man, well, Paul, I'll just let you go. I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll chime in later.
Well, Ty French is really good at one thing. He's really good at pass rushing. If you turn on the tape, he had sacks against Division I programs, Appalachian State. I saw him beat their tackles like they were nobody around the edge. You don't think Appalachian State doesn't have some talented players? You're talking about Gardner-Webb and the FCS. Well, I've seen him beat Group of 5 teams tackles and easily, absolutely blew by him, and also bull rushed him into the quarterback. I think I sent you that.
You did. I love that. I was going to mention that. I'm glad you did. I love that highlight. I mean, he got sacked by knocking the quarterback down with the quarterback's tackle.
Yeah,
tight end or whatever he was. Just unreal.
Yeah. So he has an array of moves that he uses. He'll go outside, stop, club, move inside with the swim. He goes over with the swim. He's got the bull rush where he gets up under the pads. And he's also got straight speed around the edge and he's got bend. And if you want to make a comparison to a guy, probably I'd say James Harrison-ish for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, that's one of the all-time greats in NFL history, pass rush. But he was 5'11", and he came from Kent State. And he was 260, though. So I don't know if French could add weight and still be able to do what he does. But at 230, he comes off the edge with great bend, and you have to have bend. And length helps, but French has some length at 6'3". Now, here's the negative to his game. And unfortunately, he struggles in the run game, setting the edge. I saw him get bulldozed, absolutely bulldozed. I watched a couple full games just to see because I couldn't get enough from what was out there on him, and he struggles to set the edge. Now, a couple times those were double teams coming his way. So I think what will probably happen is whether that be one of the other two guys that banned it, will probably play first and second down a lot of the time. And on obvious pass rushing downs, obviously in college football you can sub a lot. I think he'll come in for pass rushing downs. Unless he's able to put on some weight and stand up to the run a little bit more. You go watch that Mercer highlight. Now, Mercer was probably one of the best teams in FCS last year, if not the best. There's just a little bit of debate around that because not always the best team wins it. He got bulldozed in that game a lot, and they ran the ball for a lot of yards. They also ran away from him a lot, so because he can penetrate. But when it's him against an offensive tackle, he does struggle when it's a run game situation. Yeah. So just wanted to throw that in there. There is something in his game that I would love to see improvement for.
Yeah. Well, it's fair. I mean, we got to try to look at both sides of the coin here. But I haven't, in all fairness, I haven't watched as much film as Paul has. Paul is, as you guys know by now, he's a film junkie. So he loves to break down film. I just don't have the time to, but based on what little bit I watched, what I really loved about him was his motor, man. His motor is nonstop. Like, it's unreal. That's probably my favorite part of his game. Like, he never gives up on a play. He will run you down. Like, he's not going to stop until he gets to the quarterback. I mean, that's just his mentality. And then everything you read from whether it be Skylar Callahan, some of the guys from Rivals, 24/7, all of them, they are absolutely glowing about this guy. I think it was Skylar. I don't want to misspeak, but I think it was Skylar who said they think it's not even close that this is the best pass rusher Neil Brown has ever had at since he's been at West Virginia.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's a stretch to say that before he's ever played a snap, but in their
I
mind,
think it is.
He's got that potential.
Production's production, though.
Yeah.
He's got the production. You never know how. We'll know how he is by the end of camp because he's going to go against one of the best tackles in America every day in practice.
Yep.
So they'll be able to put him up against.
You got something wrong with you,
right? And we'll be able to find out. I know people in the room, so we'll be able to ask a few of these guys. Now, whether they tell me or not, is a whole nother situation. But kind of hoping that we'll know by camp how this guy's looking, and Neil will tell us if he's doing well. We'll hear about it.
He'll be on the Brown Mention Index.
Yeah,
as the three guys before the game like to call it.
I like that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Well, guys, that is the guys we wanted to break down for you all. I'm really excited about this class. And one thing I want to mention, guys, that I don't think gets mentioned enough. For all of you who want to complain about the group of 5 transfers, I totally get it. I have been in your shoes. I also like to see Power 5 transfers, or not even group of 5, FCS in some cases, like in the case of French. But, guys, we need to remember we now have a general manager on staff at West Virginia. We're one of only 6 programs in the country to have that, at least last time I checked. The guy has almost 2 decades of scouting experience for the Dallas freaking Cowboys, okay? He knows talent. His name is Drew Fabianich, I think is how you pronounce his name. Fabianich. Anyway, he's the guy knows what he's doing, okay? I trust his judgment. If he thinks Ty French can play at the Power 5 level, then I trust his judgment, okay?
Benefit of the doubt.
I'm sure he's not going to bat 1,000 because nobody does. It's not possible in college sports to get – it's just like if you're an HR manager at a job, everybody you hire is not going to be a star employee, right?
Right.
Same thing here.
Yeah.
But I do trust we've got a guy like that with that experience on staff giving his feedback. I'm sure Neil at the end of the day has final say on all these guys, but Drew is at least there giving his feedback and scouting these players and helping in the process. And I recommend he was on 3 guys before the game back, I don't know, a couple months ago. I recommend you go watch that interview, guys. He really sheds a lot of light on what he does for the program and really his experience and really what the role of a GM will be going forward in college football. It's something that was needed. West Virginia realized that. I got to give Neil and Ren Baker credit for that. They recognized the need. I think, and I don't even know I don't know if he was hired before or after Ren, but nonetheless, give the West Virginia program credit for bringing him in. Paul, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I agree with you on all the negativity, though. That's something that needs to stop. You know, I just don't understand it. I mean, you can disagree, obviously, absolutely. I'm not saying you can't, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything. And these players I think they're all going to show out. I think we did well with this group. So,
yeah.
And there's more to come. We'll see some more. So, got to do a little bit more retention. I haven't seen much on the defensive line yet, so hopefully those players are sticking around. Haven't seen them guys come out for Country Roads Trust yet, but as long as those guys stick around the D line, we've got a team now.
Yep.
And obviously we got to get some depth, and maybe another starter or 2 never hurts at corner if we can snag them. But overall, this is a great start, guys, and I think we got a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, and let's not forget, there's another portal window
in spring
after spring ball too, so they could even add more pieces then. Now they could lose some too. I get that. It goes both ways, but I really like the way we're not seeing the massive defections like we saw in previous years, guys. This staff, along with the help of Country Roads Trust, got to give them some credit, is helping to retain these players, and most of them anyway. So shout out to them. Now, before we go, guys, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about ONIT Athlete. You talking about the transfer portal. Player retention is key. NIL money is key. How do you do that? One way, obviously, Country Roads Trust is a big one. But ONIT Athlete now makes college football trading cards. You can get yours with the link in my description box. West Virginia is available. 60% of the profits go to the players, and I also get a small commission from each sale. You can support me and support West Virginia athletes at the same time. Also, guys, I've revamped my website, or in the process of it anyway. Go to CouzesCorner.com. It's much more user-friendly now, much more functional, and much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, much easier to use. So please, and the ads are less overwhelming now. So guys, go to CouzesCorner.com. I've got some writers now that are doing some work for me over there that are doing some great stuff. You can also access some of my videos and my podcast episodes all in one place. So please do that. Shout out to our sponsor again, Dutch Miller Automotive. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. All of that is free. It's quick, it's easy, and it helps the algorithms out. With that being said, guys, we really appreciate you tuning into this episode of Couzes Corner. Don't forget to go check out Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, which is Paul's channel. And we wish you a top shelf day. And we remind you, do not forget to Q Country Roads.